Today is June 19th, and that is a very important day for Black people in the United States. And because that is the day that the last remaining slaves were freed, and slavery, as Americans knew it, was completely abolished. There were no more slaves legally around. It was done. The last remaining slaves were done. And Black people in the United States refer to it as Juneteenth, which is a very clever word. But that is the day when every single slave, I believe it was Texas, was the last remaining state to allow the liberation of Black slaves in that state. And with all this talk of racism and starting to really hold racists to account and correct some of the history that was uh, done in, especially in America, but all over the world, really. I mean, it's almost like there is an anti-racist revolution going on, which I approve of 100%. Only a fool would do otherwise. Racism is one of the worst sins out there. It is, I believe, I hold somebody like that to the same standard as a rapist, as some any murderer. In fact, I prefer murderers to people who hate others because of the color of their skin. That is just me. But having said that, having said that, and while I feel this whole movement of getting rid of symbols which were created out of racism and all this sort of stuff, while that is good, there is really, and there always will be, only one way, one sure way to completely hurt, break, destroy, ruin people who are racist. There's only one way. Now, first of all, you're never ever going to get rid of racist people. There's always going to be someone out there who doesn't like another person or who looks down on another person because of the color of their skin, or who feels that because they're of a certain color, they must act a certain way or do certain things or believe in certain things, or they must be dangerous. You're always going to have some dummy out there. You're always going to have someone like that. I mean, it's always going to be, you will never ever get rid of people like that. They are like flies. They are like breeding rabbits. I mean, you can put them in concentration camps. You can kill them. You can ignore. They're always going to be there. You can perform voodoo on them. They're always going to be there. So you're just going to have to get used to that. It's like germs. You're going to have to get used to that. However, there is one way that you, as a minority or as a woman or as a disabled person, whatever, if you feel like you are marginalized and you don't appreciate it, there's only one thing you can do. That is to become successful. Become successful. Just make up your mind. Make up your mind right now that no matter what, you are going to get up every single day and think of a new way to win in the world. You just do it. I don't care how tired you are, how miserable you are, how lonely you are. Just make up your mind. I mean, look, and I feel that a lot of it, especially, and I'm speaking mainly to Black people because I'm Black myself, and a lot of this whole Black Lives Matter and the changing of Aunt Jemima and stuff, a lot of it is because of Black racism. After what happened to George Floyd, the wicked deed that happened and murdered by that police officer who's got a one-way ticket to hell. I mean, you look at the Chinese and the Japanese people, especially the Japanese. Nothing against them, but the Japanese and Asians in general, even Arabs, for example, Jews and all these people. Really, a Japanese person, and these people get discriminated against like dogs. Jews, Arabs, oh please, I think Arabs get discriminated against worse than black people. I mean, there are a lot of people who hate Japanese people, Chinese people, they call them yellow and all this sort of stuff. I don't like China. I don't like the Communist Party. I don't like China. I don't like what they did to the world with not telling us about coronavirus. I think we should destroy. And a lot of Chinese people don't like China either. I don't hate Chinese people. I hate China, the government of China. And most Chinese people agree with me, you know. Believe it or not, they agree with me. Even the people living there in China secretly, they just can't say it because they could disappear. But do you? I mean, being racist toward a Chinese person, and I'm going to lay down some hard truth here, is not going to hurt them as much as it's going to hurt a black person or even a native person or a Hispanic person. I mean, the Japanese people, they are even Indians, they are united. They are always together. They work hard. They are success. I mean, give me a break. Anybody, I'll tell you this. I think China is going to take over the world, you know. I think China is going to take over the world, and I think the white man can do nothing about it. There's nothing. I think he is too weak to go after the Chinese. He's too weak. He is too weak. Look at Justin the tacky-headed tar-faced Swiftfoot Mac Daddy Trudeau in Canada. That is the type of person we have to rely on to stop China. I mean, Donald Trump, he's fine, but I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be there. I mean, the European Union and all these people, China's going to take over. You cannot hurt China with racism to the point where it can hurt us. And while I do feel that the economic situation and the social situation for black people is improving, believe it or not, you'll hear some person out there, oh, they're still as whatever. It's improving. I think the younger generation of black people are going to surprise the world. I do think so. I don't think that they have the same self-esteem and the same shyness and the same anger and the same resentment that sadly held back our forefathers. I don't think they have it. I just don't think they give a damn. They're just going to do what they got to do. And I think that's the attitude that we need to have. You know, this whole thing about, you know, in every country where there's black people, it's always us who are the ones who are unemployed. It's always the ones who are in the jail cells. It's always the ones who have the drug problem. We got to stop that. We have to stop that. And I think it's stopping. I actually think it is. I believe it or not. I know there's some dirtbag out there, some trailer trash out there who probably, what's he talking about? Niggas, they ain't going nowhere. And then he spits some tobacco. I believe it. I really believe it. I see black people in you know, more of them in the universities, in the colleges, at my work. I mean, more of them are becoming in leadership positions, all this. It's improving. And that's the direction we need to go. This is my Juneteenth message. Not just for black people in America, not just for black people in Canada where I am, but blacks around the world. I'm talking to you guys because you guys are the ones who are starting this, you know, anti-racism. We got to, you know, correct this. And really, at the end of the day, you can tear down all the statues you want. You can change all the names you want. Aunt Jemima can disappear. Uncle Ben can disappear. All of those stuff can happen. But the only way you're really going to hurt people who look down on you and me is by becoming successful, working hard, getting educated, getting a job. Maybe even owning a business. I want to see more black people owning businesses. I want to see it. Open up. I think you stop trying to think, oh, I should work for someone else. Own a business. Work for yourself. Make the rules. Make your own rules. If you don't like the rules, make your own rules. That's what needs to happen. In fact, I think the goal shouldn't be trying to get the next black president or the next black prime minister or the next black this or the next one. I think that the goal should be to see which black people we can see on the Forbes millionaires and billionaires. I want to start seeing that. Oh, I'm not interested in these presidents and these all this stuff. That's not what I'm interested in anymore. You know, you don't like the rules, make the rules up yourself. Start going on Wall Street, doing things like that. You know, those are things that are going to. It's not to prove yourself to anyone. You're not proving yourself to the white man. You're not proving yourself to the China. You're just doing it because it makes you feel better. And racism won't hurt you as much. It won't. I mean, to be honest with you, racism, when it comes to racism in me, yes, I don't like it. And the reason why I feel that maybe it, like, I mean, to be honest with you, it doesn't affect me as much as it would affect others. I don't know if it's because I was born in a different generation and I just never dealt with those things as much. I don't know. And that's one of the things I was talking about the younger generation. We never had to deal with those kind of things. So really, and a lot of it comes down to, you know, resentment and hurt and pain and all that. So I understand that. I really understand that. I understand that. And I also understand that, you know, a lot of non-minority people don't understand what we feel, and they're never going to. You can't make people understand. You can't make people feel sympathy. You can't make people do anything. You're only responsible for yourself. And so my message for this June 19th. If you want to call it Black Lives Matter and all that, you want to call it that, my anti-racism message is not to get angry, get resentful. Yes, be firm, be strict. Don't tolerate foolishness. If somebody calls you and you stand up to you get in their face. Get in their face. Don't tolerate nonsense. Don't tolerate foolishness. And use your wallets too. You know, boycott if you do all that stuff. But also, you also want to do self-improvement as well. We know that we are good at taking down a statue or changing some name that had a racist history like Aunt Jemima, which I support. But now we have to start to improve our own selves. Not to end racism, because you're never going to be able to end racism. Anybody who says, let's end racism, you should try to run away from that person as quickly as possible. Run from them, because they're telling you falsehoods. But the only way that we are going to be able to hurt racism, damage and break it, make it just die inside. The one thing a racist person doesn't like to see is minorities who are successful. Same thing with sexists. They don't like to see successful women out there. They don't like to see, it hurts. It hurts them. It hurts. Ooh, it burns. It's like eating a spicy, drinking a whole bottle of pepper. It hurts. Oh, it hurts. It burns them. And just like how white liberals don't like to see successful black conservatives like Clarence Thomas, that also hurts them. It hurts. When somebody thinks that another person is beneath them, the last thing they want to see is that person become more successful than even them. That really cuts deep for them. It cuts deep, and it's so enjoyable to see. I've seen it too. Oh, I've seen it. That's the only way you are ever going to feel good. That's the perfect knockout punch you can do. That's the perfect one. So that is my message on the anti-racism movement, which I support, and the racism awareness, June 19th. I support all of that. I don't feel that we should just pretend like racism doesn't exist, or that we should just pretend like, you know, certain things which affect us which don't matter. That's foolish. That's history. That type of thinking is history. It's history. It's gone. It's gone. It's over. If you think like that, You either need to get with the times or you're going to suffer. But I feel that we've beaten that horse to death now. Now let's try to work on ourselves. Because as I always like to say, the only person whom you can control is yourself. And this is the Arana Nation.